As night begins to settle over medieval London, the city does not fall silent. It softens, but it does not sleep. Imagine yourself standing just inside the city walls, sometime in the late 14th century. The sun has slipped away beyond the Thames, and what remains is a dim, uneven glow. There are no streetlights in the way we understand them, only scattered lanterns, candles behind shutters, and the faint shine of hearth fires leaking through cracks in timbered walls. The air smells different at night. During the day, London is loud and crowded, full of voices, carts, animals, and trade. At night, those sounds thin out, leaving behind something heavier. Smoke from thousands of hearths lingers low. The river carries dampness inland. Somewhere nearby, refuse left in the street gives off a sour, familiar scent. It is not shocking to the people who live here. It is simply part of the city, as ordinary as the sound of footsteps on packed earth. If you were here, would you feel afraid, or merely alert, the way one feels in an unfamiliar place after dark? Most medieval Londoners plan their evenings carefully. Night is not a time for wandering. Gates close, shops are shuttered, taverns dim their lights, though they rarely go completely dark. Inside homes, families draw closer together. Candles are precious, so they burn slowly, if at all. Often the fire itself becomes the center of the room, both for warmth and for light. Sleep comes earlier than it does for us. Without electricity, the rhythm of the day is shaped by the sun. Yet sleep is not a single, unbroken thing. People wake in the night, they pray, they talk quietly. Some step outside for a moment, wrapped in cloaks, breathing in the cool air before returning to their beds. Beds themselves are simple. A wooden frame, if you are fortunate. Straw or wool stuffed into a mattress. Sheets that carry the faint smell of soap, smoke, and human warmth. For many, several people share the same sleeping space. Privacy is rare, but companionship is normal. The presence of another breathing body nearby is comforting in a city that still feels fragile after dark. Outside, the streets belong to a different kind of life now. Watchmen make their rounds, carrying lanterns and staffs, calling out the hours in steady, practiced voices. Their calls drift through narrow lanes, reminding everyone that someone is awake, that order still exists even in the dark. Somewhere farther away, a dog barks. A door closes. Footsteps echo, then fade. What would it feel like to lie down here, knowing the city never truly rests? Knowing that danger exists, but also knowing that this is simply how nights have always been? As your eyes grow heavy, London continues its quiet breathing around you. The fire crackles softly. The sounds outside blur together. The night does not rush. It waits, just as it has for centuries. And this is only the beginning of the night. Darkness in medieval London is not absolute. It has texture. It moves and shifts as clouds pass over the moon, as doors open and close, as lanterns sway gently in the hands of those still awake. Shadows stretch along walls and then pull back again, never fully still. Inside most homes, people prepare for sleep with small, familiar rituals. A bowl is rinsed, a cloak is folded, a short prayer is murmured, not out of fear, but habit. Faith is woven into the evening the way breathing is woven into the body. It steadies the mind. It gives shape to the unknown hours ahead. There is little expectation that sleep will be deep or uninterrupted. The night is long, and waking in its middle feels natural. Some call this the first sleep. After it, people may rise for a time. A woman might check the fire. A man might step outside to relieve himself. Others simply sit in the dim glow, thinking or listening to the quiet life of the house around them. If you were to wake during these hours, the city would feel different, calmer, almost suspended. The noise of the day has vanished, replaced by distant sounds that carry farther in the still air. The river murmurs softly. Wood creaks as it cools. Somewhere, a cart rattles over stones, late or early, it is hard to tell. Safety at night is a shared responsibility. Doors are bolted. Windows are shuttered. Neighbours know one another's rhythms. A strange noise is noticed, not ignored. Yet fear is not constant. It is practical, measured, like checking the weather before a journey. People know the risks, but they also know how to live alongside them. For the poorest Londoners, sleep looks different. Some rest in crowded rooms, others in places meant for work rather than comfort. An apprentice might curl up near a workshop hearth. A labourer may sleep fully clothed, ready to rise before dawn. Even so, exhaustion brings rest. The body, after a long day, does not demand luxury. It only asks for stillness. And then there are the sounds that mark the deeper night. Bells from distant churches, not ringing, but settling as they cool. The watchman's voice again, marking another hour past. Each call is a reminder that time continues its slow movement forward, even when most of the city lies still. Would you feel comforted by these sounds, or would they keep you half awake, listening? For medieval Londoners, these noises are as familiar as the sound of rain on a roof. They fade into the background of sleep, becoming part of the night's gentle rhythm. The city, though old and imperfect, holds them as they rest. As the hours deepen, the darkness grows softer, less watchful. The mind drifts more easily now. The night has settled in, and London, for a while, is content to let its people sleep. As the night moves forward, there is a sense that the city has exhaled. What remains is slower, almost careful. The kind of quiet that is not empty, but full of small, unnoticed motions. Somewhere not far away, a baker may already be awake. Bread must be prepared long before sunrise, and the night offers the best hours for such work. You might smell it faintly if the wind shifts, warm and comforting, cutting gently through the smoke and damp air. For a moment, it reminds you that morning will come, even if it feels distant now. Most people, however, remain asleep. Their bodies have settled into the simple trust that comes from routine. Night after night, year after year, they have learned that the dark usually passes without trouble. This quiet confidence is not spoken aloud, but it exists all the same. In the narrow streets, cats move freely, slipping between shadows with practiced ease. They know these hours well. Rats rustle near refuse piles, careful and quick. Life continues, but softly, as if aware that it should not disturb those who rest. If you were lying awake, you might notice how the city feels closer at night. Sounds carry farther. Walls seem thinner. The distance between one life and another shrinks. A cough from a neighbouring house, a whispered conversation behind a shutter. Even the rhythm of footsteps passing by can feel intimate, almost personal. Illness is a quiet companion in medieval London, and night often brings awareness of the body. A fever may rise. An ache may grow sharper in the stillness. Without modern medicine, people rely on rest, warmth, and patience. They listen to their bodies carefully, the way one listens to weather, waiting for signs of change. Yet the night is not only a time of worry, it is also a time of reflection. For those who wake between sleeps, the hours feel suspended, separate from the demands of daylight. Thoughts wander, memories surface. Some pray for loved ones, others think about work, about tomorrow, about nothing in particular at all. Have you ever noticed how thoughts become softer late at night, less urgent, more forgiving? In medieval London, this gentle mental drifting is common. Without clocks glowing on walls, without constant reminders of schedules and obligations, time loosens its grip. Minutes stretch, moments blend together. The mind is allowed to wander without direction. Gradually, sleep returns. Breathing deepens. Muscles relax again. The city continues its slow watch, lanterns dimming one by one as even the watchmen grow quieter. The hardest part of the night has passed, and without ceremony, London settles deeper into rest. The darkness no longer feels heavy. It feels familiar, almost kind. The hours just before dawn are often the deepest. Sleep, when it comes now, feels heavier, more complete. The body has accepted the night fully, and the mind drifts without resistance. Dreams, if they arrive, are quiet and slow, shaped by familiar streets, known faces, and ordinary worries. Outside, the city seems to hold its breath. Even the watchman's calls become less frequent, softer, as if they too are aware that something is changing. The moon, if it is still visible, sits lower in the sky, its light thinner now, less certain. For those who are awake, this time feels private. A servant may rise early to prepare water or kindling. A monk might leave his cell and move through cold stone corridors toward prayer. Somewhere near the river, a fisherman adjusts his nets in the dark, working by touch more than sight. If you were to step outside at this hour, wrapped tightly against the chill, you would notice how the air feels cleaner. The smoke has thinned. The streets, though still far from clean by modern standards, feel calmer, as if they have been given a brief chance to rest before the day begins again. There is a particular quiet that belongs only to this moment. Not the quiet of midnight, which still carries tension and alertness, but a softer silence, touched with expectation. The city is no longer fully asleep, yet it is not awake either. It exists somewhere in between. Would this be the most peaceful part of the night for you? Or would the nearness of morning make rest harder to hold? Medieval Londoners know this feeling well. Many of them rise naturally at this hour, without alarm or urgency. They have learned to listen to their bodies, to the subtle signals of light and sound that mark the turning of the night. Sleep is flexible, shaped around life rather than forced into strict hours. Soon, there will be signs that the night is ending. A cock will crow, a door will open, footsteps will become more purposeful. The city will begin to gather itself, preparing once again for noise, movement, and trade. But for now, there is still time. Time to remain still. Time to breathe slowly. Time to let the last softness of the night settle around you. And in this final quiet stretch, medieval London holds together its many lives, resting briefly before the world stirs again. Very slowly, almost without announcement, the night loosens its hold. At first, it is not light that changes the city, but sound. A distant movement, a soft scrape of wood against stone. Somewhere nearby, a door opens and closes again, carefully, as if not to wake those still asleep. These small sounds ripple outward, barely noticeable, yet enough to signal that the long night is nearing its end. Inside the houses, bodies shift beneath blankets. Someone turns onto their side. A hand reaches out, finding warmth where another person sleeps close by. Breathing deepens, then pauses, then resumes. The rhythms of rest begin to adjust, preparing for waking without conscious thought. For many medieval Londoners, morning does not arrive suddenly. It eases in. The first tasks of the day are quiet ones. A woman stirs embers in the hearth, coaxing them back to life rather than starting anew. A child wakes briefly, then drifts back into sleep, comforted by familiar sounds. Someone murmurs a prayer, half awake, the words more felt than spoken. Outside, the street is no longer empty, but it is still gentle. A cart moves slowly, its wheels muffled by the damp ground. The smell of bread grows stronger now, carried more clearly through the cool air. It is a reassuring smell, one that tells the body it is safe to rise when the time comes. If you were here, lying still and listening, you might feel the quiet satisfaction of having made it through the night. Nothing dramatic has happened. No great danger has appeared. The city has done what it has done countless times before. It has held its people, imperfectly but steadily, until morning approaches. Sleep at this hour can feel light, almost floating. The mind drifts near the surface, aware of sounds, but not pulled fully awake by them. This is a gentle sleep, the kind that does not cling, the kind that lets go easily. And perhaps this is the answer to the question that brought us here. Could you survive one night in medieval London? Not through strength or alertness, but through adaptation, by accepting the night as it is, by resting when rest comes, and waking when the body is ready. The city does not demand more than that. As the sky begins, almost invisibly, to soften toward morning, there is no rush to move. For a little while longer, London remains suspended between dark and light, allowing one final moment of stillness before the day fully begins. As the first pale hints of morning begin to touch the sky, medieval London feels changed, though nothing dramatic has occurred. The buildings are the same. The streets are the same. Yet the night has done its quiet work. It has carried the city through vulnerability and rest, through stillness and small movement, without asking for attention. Those who are awake now move differently than they did in the dark hours. There is less caution in their steps. The body senses light even before the eyes fully register it. Muscles prepare for labor. Thoughts begin to organize themselves around the day ahead. For those still sleeping, rest deepens for a final time. This last stretch of sleep is often the most restoring. It comes after the mind has wandered, after worries have softened, after the night has proven itself harmless once again. The body, reassured, lets go. If you had spent the night here, you might be surprised by how ordinary it felt. Not easy, perhaps, but familiar in its own way. Human needs do not change much across centuries. Warmth, safety, companionship, a sense that someone, somewhere, is awake and watching over the quiet. Survival in medieval London is not about constant fear or endurance. It is about learning the rhythm of the place, knowing when to close the door, when to trust the silence, when to rest despite uncertainty. The people who live here do not think of themselves as surviving each night. They are simply living within it, and maybe that is the most comforting thought of all. As morning draws closer, the last shadows retreat into corners and doorways. The watchmen's voices fall silent. The city prepares to speak again in the language of daylight. For now, though, there is a gentle pause. A moment where night and morning overlap, neither fully claiming the world. You can rest here a little longer. The night has passed. The city remains. Morning in medieval London does not arrive with brightness. It arrives with permission. Light seeps in slowly, touching the edges of rooftops, finding narrow gaps between buildings, settling on the river like a thin veil. It does not demand attention. It simply appears, the way breath returns after a pause. Inside the city, sleep loosens its grip, one body at a time. Someone stretches. Someone else stays still. savouring a few moments more. The night has asked nothing unreasonable, and in return, it has been allowed to pass quietly. If you were here, you might notice that the question of survival no longer feels important. The night did not challenge you. It did not test you. It simply existed, and you existed within it. That, in the end, is how most nights are endured, not through effort, but through acceptance. The city now belongs to daylight again. Work will begin. Voices will rise. The familiar chaos of medieval London will return, loud and imperfect and alive. But what the night offered remains. A reminder that even in a place shaped by uncertainty, rest was possible. That people found ways to sleep, to wake, and to continue. And as you drift further into your own rest, you can leave this city behind, knowing it has already done what it needed to do. It held the night, and then it let it go. Before the day fully claims the city, there is one last quiet space that belongs to no one in particular. Not to the night, and not yet to the morning. It exists only briefly, and only for those who notice it. In medieval London, this is the hour when the city feels almost thoughtful, as if it remembers itself. The streets, worn smooth by centuries of feet, lie still for a moment longer. The river moves as it always has, unhurried, unconcerned with who is awake and who is not. Smoke begins to rise again, thin and pale, folding into the softening sky. Those who wake now do so gently. There is no sharp division between sleep and waking. Eyes open slowly. The body adjusts. A person might sit on the edge of a bed, feet touching the floor, not yet standing, simply being present. The mind lingers in that half-dreaming place where thoughts are quiet and time feels generous. If you imagine yourself here, you may notice how little effort it takes to remain calm. The night has already passed. Whatever risks once felt close have faded without incident. The city did not demand vigilance until exhaustion. It allowed rest in imperfect conditions, the way people have always rested, adapting without overthinking. This is perhaps the truest answer the night offers. Survival did not come from strength or readiness, but from familiarity, from learning the sounds, from trusting routine, from knowing that darkness, though uncertain, was also ordinary. And as this final calm stretches on, you do not need to follow the city into its day. You can stay here, in this gentle pause, where nothing is required of you at all. The night has done its work. There is no need to hurry away from it. Soon, the city will fully wake. The markets will open. Voices will overlap and swell. The calm you have been resting in will dissolve into motion and purpose. But you do not have to follow it there. What matters has already happened. You passed through the night, just as the people of medieval London did, not by conquering it, but by moving gently within it, by letting the dark exist without asking it to be different, by trusting that the hours would turn, as they always have. There is something quietly reassuring in that thought. Centuries separate you from this place, yet the act of resting remains the same. The body settles, the breath slows, the mind loosens its hold on sharp edges. History, when viewed this way, feels less distant. It feels shared. If your thoughts begin to wander now, let them. If sleep pulls you deeper, follow it without resistance. The city has no more to show you tonight. Its story has softened into background, into atmosphere, into something that can fade without being lost. And so, as medieval London steps fully into its day, you can remain here, unhurried, untouched by time. The night is complete. The past has spoken softly. All that is left is rest. At some point, The details of the city no longer matter. The shapes of streets, the weight of stone walls, the distant sound of the river all begin to blur together, like scenery seen through half-closed eyes. Medieval London recedes, not because it disappears, but because your attention no longer needs to hold it in place. This is how stories have always ended for those who listen late at night, not with a final event, but with a gradual release. The mind loosens its grip. The body settles more deeply. What was once vivid becomes gentle and indistinct. If there is an image that remains, it may be a simple one. A dim room, a low fire, the quiet certainty that, for this night at least, nothing more is required. No decisions, no vigilance, just rest, carried by a rhythm older than the city itself. Breath moves in and out, slow and uncounted. Thoughts come, then drift away before they fully form. The night, having done its work, steps back without ceremony. And somewhere far behind you now, medieval London continues on. It wakes, it moves, it lives its ordinary day. You do not need to follow. You can let the city fade completely, allowing sleep to take its place, calm and unbroken, stretching quietly beyond the story. Now there is nothing left to imagine, no streets to walk, no sounds to follow. The city has fallen away, not suddenly, but the way mist lifts from a river at morning, slowly, naturally, without effort. What remains is only the quiet you are already in. Your body knows what to do next. It has always known. Long before cities, before walls and watchmen and candlelight, the body learned how to rest, how to loosen, how to sink into stillness when the world grows quiet enough. Breathing becomes softer now, not slower on purpose, just easier. Each breath arrives, stays for a moment, then leaves without being noticed. Muscles release their last small tensions. The jaw, the shoulders, the hands all settle into their own natural weight. There is no need to listen anymore. No need to remember the story. No need to hold on to words. History has already done its work. It has guided you gently away from the present, then just as gently let you go. If sleep comes now, let it. If you are already asleep, let these final moments pass unnoticed. The night is complete. The story is quiet, and rest continues, undisturbed. There is no reason to rush away from this calm. Sometimes the mind needs a little more space before it fully lets go, and that is perfectly fine. Imagine the stillness stretching outward, not as emptiness, but as something soft and steady, like a wide field at dawn, untouched, where nothing is expected to happen, the kind of quiet that feels supportive rather than empty, the kind that allows rest to deepen naturally. Your thoughts, if any remain, can move slowly now. They do not need direction. They can wander and fade, the way clouds drift without urgency across a pale sky. You do not have to follow them. You do not have to stop them either. They will pass on their own. The body settles more completely with each moment. The weight of it feels familiar, grounded, safe. The surface beneath you supports you without effort. There is nothing to adjust, nothing to fix. Everything is already in its place. Breath continues its gentle rhythm. In, out, not measured, not controlled, just present. If you notice the quiet around you, you may realize it is not silence at all, but a soft background hum of existence, the subtle sound of life continuing at a distance. So distant, it no longer asks for attention. This is the kind of rest that does not announce itself. It simply arrives. There is no need to think about the night anymore. No need to imagine cities or centuries past. Those images have already done their work. guiding the mind gently away from sharp edges and into something smoother, slower. Now, even those images can dissolve. Time becomes less defined here. Minutes no longer matter. Neither does progress. Rest does not need to move forward. It simply settles deeper, layer by layer, like warmth spreading through the body on a cool night. If sleep has not fully taken you yet, it will soon. And if it already has, these words will pass unnoticed, like a whisper that fades before it is fully heard. There is nothing more to do, nothing more to listen for, only this quiet, steady rest continuing on its own, long after the story has ended.